Okay. Welcome to Arsenal Above All, the final one of the season. We cleared the final hurdle, but unfortunately we didn't get the gold because a certain team had 115 reasons why they were ahead and broke that tape before we did. It's taken me, it's been 4 days now since then to get over it. I'm sure it's been the same for Neil and Steve, who joined me tonight, and we'll be talking about the emotional and up and down Sunday it was. We had Neil, who was there, and rubbing shoulders. People, some of the celebrities making a beeline for the most dangerous Arsenal fan alive, which was fantastic to see. We got evidence of that, and we'll talk about that and our players and goals and moments, and our wishes for next season, and lots more. But before all of that, of course, for the final time this season, these credits will be rolling. Neil, we're going to be happy about it. It's going to be the 4-1, Neil.
Yes.
So without further ado, let's go. Welcome to the show, Neil Shah. How you doing, my friends? Good to see you in the old kit. Now, isn't it? Yeah,
already.
Change it out every year. How you doing, Neil? You okay?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
How am I feeling? I'm not over it. I'm not over it. I am very proud, as every true fan should be. I know there's a few channels out there have already cited their displeasure and talking utter nonsense, but we won't mention those. But every true fan, every genuine fan should be utterly proud of what we've achieved. But I'll be honest with you, I feel pretty down. It's so coming so far, or getting so close yet so far, is a real bitter kick in the teeth. And the fact that we actually won the game, we did everything we had to do, and still not get there. But you know what? Next season, with the foundation is built, let's do it.
Yep, onwards and upwards. Thanks, Neil. Thanks for your time as always. And we've also got Steve. They call me Stepney Osako. How you doing, Steve? You okay?
Yeah, doing well. Like Neil, it's been a difficult one to swallow, but you swallow it and we move on. But all good. Always forward.
Yes, absolutely. Always forward. And so let's get into it. It was emotional. It was draining, wasn't it? I think that was the thing that hit me at the end. Just how emotionally draining it was. I think it was the build up. Your mind's playing tricks on you. Can we pull it off? You look at 89 and you look at other situations and you're thinking, and you look at City's record and you think, and then you hear about the Premier League record that no one's ever, who's been second in the last day, has ever taken over. And then there's always a first time for everything. So all these things are playing in your mind and stuff. And then you see it's a beautiful day, and you hear the noise and everything that's coming from the crowd and the feel good factor. Neil, you was there, and you sucked that all up. And we've got photographic evidence. There'll be some video evidence as well of the most dangerous Arsenal man alive, rolling around his manor, and everyone parting out the way when he's walking through. So you've got all that to come. And what was it like for you, Neil, on that day? Getting there. I mean, from what I've read, the atmosphere, everybody was buzzing just on hope. The hopium was thick. And a bit like the fireworks and stuff that went off, and the smoke that went off when the players came out. But what was it like, going there, and just how that crazy kind of first half panned out for you?
I'll be honest with you. I have been to games early, but not this early. I went very early, and there's reasons for that. But I mean, the main thing is I just wanted to get a hold of and experienced the whole day as a unit, if you like, because I didn't want to be missing out on anything this time around. In case we did pull off the miracle, or West Ham rather pulled off the miracle, and we were crowned champions. So I wanted to basically just take in every single drop of it, if you like. And I'll have to say, even from early doors, I was shocked at the number of Gooners that were around, getting out off the station at Finsbury Park, just seeing Gooners everywhere. No, sorry, it was Arsenal. Sorry, I got it for Arsenal, my mistake. And there was just everywhere. The pubs were already full up. I remember we were getting to the Gunners pub and we couldn't even get in. We did. It was like felt like Hillsborough. Honestly, I'm not joking, but it was so packed. And this was before 12 o'clock. So you can imagine the pandemonium or the belief that the fans have. And that's the single most thing that stood out for me. Everyone thought that it was going to happen. Everyone held on to that belief and that hope that, you know what, we're going to do it. Everyone spoke to, we're going to do it. We're going to do it now. It's going to happen. So the atmosphere was absolutely amazing. And then being at the start of the game or before kickoff, you had the red smoke go up in the air, the fire. It was just mental. The singing was there. And it was just electric. And I think everyone believed and hoped that this is going to be a very special day. You were talking about certain omens, Michael. It happened last time where we had Everton on the last day with Tony Adams scoring from a bold assist, and you had, I think the game we played before, was it not United? I'm sure, I can't recall, but there's some similarities to previous wins, and there were some other funny omens that we thought, this is it, it's got to happen. So I think there was no kind of negativity towards the start. It was all fueled with positive emotion and hope and dreams. And you did not see one face looking sad. I think everyone's a little bit anxious and worried, but everyone was so happy. It was just a happy carnival atmosphere. And I'm blessed to have experienced it.
Oh, good stuff. And what was it like the first half, though, when it was, when City's goal went in, it was like, the people were saying it's like the air was sucked out the stadium. What was that like? Because I remember me and Steve were at the Emirates when we played against Man United in the Champions League semi-final, and we obviously lost the first leg 1-0, I believe, and the crowd was whipped up, and then United scored an early goal, and that was it. Game was over. It almost felt like that. What was it like there? Because it really did feel like came across on the TV that it was a massive, massive blow. Like, just thinking that,
I don't know where it. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know whether it was because where I was sitting, but I didn't get that where we were. We were still positive. We were more focused on our game at the time. We were more focused on our game. At the end of the day, it was irrelevant what happened in the City game if we didn't pull off a win. So I think from where we were, the crowds were still quite jubilant. And yeah, at the end of the day, we did go behind, which was unfortunate. But even then, I didn't feel that there was a complete drop in energy levels. Of course, it wasn't as crazy as it would have been. You can imagine if West Ham had taken the lead or they'd even got a 2-goal buffer. It was nothing on those levels, of course not. But I didn't see a huge drop from where I was. Maybe in other areas of the stadium, and that's why it come across on the telly. But from where I was, everyone was still singing, everyone was still shouting and jumping around. And especially when you think that West Ham have had a chance or they've got a goal, everyone was like going absolutely mental. So no, I didn't feel it actually. To be honest, I think for me personally, I was too fixated on the moment, and I was in cloud nine, and I was believing literally till the end. But obviously, we'll get onto that later. But I never gave up hope. Let's put it that way. But we had to do our job. So I was more focused at that moment in time, the first half, that we need to make sure we win this game. So that's how I saw it. Yeah,
it's one that you're going to just keep replaying in your mind, isn't it? Just what might have been. What was your thoughts, Steve, on just, for me, what came across, especially on Sunday, was the connection between the fans and the players. It almost reached a crescendo. All the work that Arteta had done since he's been there, it's been paid off massively, and I think we saw that. If we spin to the end of the game when almost everybody stayed behind, to pay, to give the players a standing ovation, which they deserve. Going round. What was your thoughts on just how the day played out? Your thoughts earlier on. Thinking if we were going to do it, and just how again, in that sort of little bit of adversity when we went down to that deflected goal against an Everton side that kind of played it like it was their cup final. Wasting time and and doing what have you. What was your thoughts on just how things played out in that first half?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to quickly just touch on the atmosphere thing, just because what Neil said was perfect. You want to soak up the atmosphere. You want to feel it. So a couple of good examples. When the Olympics hit Stratford, you had to be there. There was no other feeling for it. Being inside the main stadium and watching an event, there's no other experience like it. Only sports does that. Nothing else gives you that same feeling of a collective. We're going to do it. Pretty much every Arsenal fan I spoke to, just like yourselves, said we'll beat Everton, and there's a chance. We all messaged and said, look at this one. This one says this happened on this year as well. As Neil was saying, the Man United Everton, whatever it was, whatever was popping up, we were all tweeting it. We were all messaging, and you had to be there to experience it. So, like I said, only sport does that. And for the longest time now, it's been a long, long time since us as Arsenal fans have felt like that. I remember when we first moved to the Emirates, and as a steward there at the time, it felt like a party atmosphere. It felt like everybody was there to enjoy themselves. You wanted to get the win first and foremost, but you were hopeful that something happens. Look, in hindsight, everybody go, well, City just win, so there was your hope gone, and you sort of go, yeah, but our manager got us to believe. He whatever he exudes, whatever comes off of him is positive. It's good positivity. It's good energy. So yeah, like Neil, like yourself, like everyone else, I believed, I did, and watching that first half and that start of the first half is again, you hear the noise, you hear the music, you hear the angel being played and stuff like that, and you're hooked, you're fully focused on it, and it was great. It was great to see. Obviously, when the City goal went in, you sort of went, okay, it's early doors. That could be either a good thing or a bad thing. You go, oh, it could be a bad thing for them, because if they score early doors, they might just try and take their foot off the gas, and then West Ham have got a chance to get back in there. Or, you just score early doors and it goes the other way, and they go on and thump the Hammers 5-0 or something, or 1-5 or whatever it may be. We're not talking numbers and 1-1-5 against these guys. But you still believed even up until the last minute, because West Ham had a disallowed goal. Again, nobody's watching the Man City game. Everybody's watching our game. There's a disallowed goal. You're sort of going, oh, it's going to VAR. It's going to VAR. And in your head, you're going, come on. Obviously, when you look back and see what it was for, you sort of go, okay, right, yeah, no, that's fine. But from first minute to last minute, I believe, man, it's good.
Do you know what? Quickly, you're absolutely spot on about that. That's exactly how it was. Because when I was watching the City games, you don't know, but you start hearing things. And I heard that they had 2 goals disallowed. And you're thinking, oh my God, they're actually giving them a game. They're giving it a go, no matter what's going on. And that gives you that belief and that hope. And to be honest, even when they went 2-0 up, all the fans that I was speaking to, no one was down. No, everyone was still focused on our game. Mm-hmm. And they were going, well, it was likely, wasn't it, that City weren't going to lose to it. That's the answer. But do you know what? I'm enjoying this. This is what I'm here for. So, yeah. I you know what? That is a massive testament to the crowd, the fans, and actually what Arteta has built. Because it's Arteta's doing that. I think this fan base is now united, because it was never like this. It was like, yeah, you're still going to get those few odd idiots, of course, which no one wants to pay any attention to. But I think on the whole and generally, the fan base has completely changed to what it was, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And even then, like Michael, you just said it earlier, everyone stayed behind. Everyone stayed behind to watch the lap of the honour and to hear the speeches and the interviews and whatnot. It was just a fan.
Just dropped off there. Actually, you're mute.
Hello. That's a good thing I was muted then. I cracked a joke which is rubbish, so I'm not going to repeat it.
But no, you're absolutely right. I think the it's night and day really, the atmosphere that it was before when I used to go regularly, obviously working there. The atmosphere was really sort of, you heard the moans and groans. Luckily, fortunate to go to the Wolves game earlier this season, and the difference, the angel being sung and whatever, the atmosphere around it. It was just amazing, and hearing it being sung. I've seen, obviously, you probably seen, you was there, obviously, Neil, but hearing it being sung on Instagram and seeing it on lots of different social media platforms, people have recorded it. It sounds amazing. Just get goosebumps every time you hear it. It's like so loud, and the connection is there. So that's why I think it was so important that whatever happened, as you said, we had to do our job. And it's so important that we won that game, because I think if we'd had drawn, it wouldn't have been devastating, but it just would have had a couple of seeds of doubt, maybe, that when it came down to it, we just didn't do our job, and the fact that we did, we did it late, and the goal may have been a bit fortunate, and in terms of the handball and stuff, but because you don't know what's handball these days, so that could happen in the cup final this weekend, and it will be disallowed. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that we won was so important as well. It would have been really even kind of not a bigger blow than losing the title, but it just would have been a blow for the psyche of the players to not win that game at home when everyone was kind of expecting you to do it quite comfortably. But then you're coming up against a team that made it difficult, and obviously players who kind of felt the nerves a little bit. I thought Trossard was a little bit off his game as well. He seemed a little bit restricted, a bit reserved. He didn't want to. He's almost like he was too scared to lose the ball, and played within himself, which is a shame, really, because he's been amazing for us this season. And just talking of the season, we just have a quick look at it in overview snapshot. So I mean, obviously, we finished second, the FA Cup third round exit. League Cup fourth round exit, and got to the quarters of the Champions League. I think what's staring out at me there, guys, is next season we have to really try and do something in the domestic cups. Because it's great, focusing on the league and trying to do something in the quarterfinals. For all the Infinity Stones that Pep Guardiola holds, he doesn't do the quadruple every season. He doesn't do the treble every season. Obviously, it looks like it might do a double. So there are opportunities there to win other competitions. And I think, if you look at a really, really poor Man United side, they've been to a League Cup final and they've been to an FA Cup final. We've not seen a final since 2020, since we won it last. We've not even got close to getting to a final of any description. So for me, that's where we have to focus on. Obviously, going one further in the league, but also we need to try and make a bit of a dent in the cup competitions, and that kind of leads on to the squad, doesn't it? Getting the depth right and getting the players out and getting the players in that will enable us to do that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So in terms of the way we finished the game, one of the things that stood out for me, obviously, which you saw, was Kai Havertz, who, I know it's crazy. He scored a goal, and the guy looked like he was going to start crying when he was running back. He didn't celebrate or anything. He just scored the goal, ran back, and then we saw it at full time. The guy was in bits, absolute bits. which was amazing to see, because this guy, you know, come from Chelsea, and it just shows you again the connection. I don't know what Arteta's done or what his staff have done. I think the guy Carlos does a lot of stuff with their psyche and everything, their mind and everything. And for him to have that connection, you know, and he's not even been there a year. And I think you saw, you know, Odegaard, Neil, as well, you know, towards the game. He just looked absolutely wrecked, didn't he, at the end? They all did. I mean, I don't know if you obviously saw them in the lap of appreciation, but they all looked absolutely on the floor, and it was so heartbreaking to see. Do you think this will, you know, use this as fuel, which Odegaard said in his post comments? People are saying, well, look what we've done. We've got 89 points. You know, we've won more games than the Invincibles. You know, we've scored the most goals that we've scored in the league campaign. Do you think this will be used as fuel? Is there a worry that, you know, they could think, well, you know, what's the point anymore? You know, we have to focus, and we have to basically have a pre-season and discuss it and say, look, guys, we've got to get like 95 points to even be in with a shout here. What do you think, Neil, in terms of how this will affect the team going forward?
Firstly, I just want to say our club is all about class. I know some people, and I've tweeted that, some people have come up with some stupid things to counter it. But for me, our club is about class. Odegaard, Arteta have both spoken with class. Arteta is very, fairly, congratulated 115. But he's also said that, look, this is just the start. We're not giving up. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep pushing. Odegaard has pretty much said the same thing. You're absolutely right. All the players look completely gone, but I think it's because they gave so much to this season. You know, we only got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, but we had some tough games in the knockout stages. I thought the group stages we weren't too troubled, but the two knockout stages, of which obviously that we didn't prevail in the quarters, but we had some tough games, and then having to negotiate a very tough run-in. You know, people seem to forget that we had a very, very tough run-in, and we succeeded. That is the key. You ordinarily, Tottenham away, Man United away, Chelsea at home. We've actually, if you look at the table, last 5 results, only Arsenal, Man City, and actually Chelsea have won all 5. So Chelsea have hit a string of form as well. Yeah. But we had to face Chelsea, and we walloped them, absolutely caned them. But ordinarily, if you look at that run-in, that's a tough run-in, and we prevailed. Apart from after losing from Villa, we have not done anything wrong, really. You can't sit there criticising any of them. So, giving all of that emotionally, mentally, and physically, it's going to have an effect when actually then there's nothing to show for it at the end, really. I mean, you just gave us that lovely stat at the table, and you're right. I think since we've won the FA Cup, we've been dreadful in the 2 domestic cups. We have to put that right. The fact that we're going to be challenging for the title and in the Champions League again next season means that we have to add to the squad, because as good as this team is, and we have had our injuries this season, Jesus, Tomiyasu as well, again, Partey, of course. But generally, we've been, I think, probably the luckiest season of injury-free key players, as far as I'm concerned. We haven't had that for many, many years. So we've been lucky. So that's helped us get to where we got to. But we can't sustain that season after season just with this group. Although this group, I think the 13, 14, 15 maybe, they're brilliant. That cannot carry us through maybe going for at least 3 or 4 trophies a year. So we need to add, obviously, in the summer. So I think that's taken its toll. You know, we all know about that stat where 6 out of the 7 players that run the most in the Prem are Arsenal players. You know, Saliba hasn't missed a minute, if correct me if I'm wrong. There are so many that have played literally all throughout the whole season. Saka plays throughout the seasons, then he goes on international duty, so he doesn't have a break, full stop. So you can understand the lethargy. And, if they'd won, it would have been a different thing, because the adrenaline keeps you going, doesn't it? But the final whistle goes, that you haven't quite made it. And it's like, damn, we're only human beings at the end of the day. And you know what? Kai Havertz is now my favourite player. I'm going to say it. For me, he's like another January signing, because that's when he came good. He absolutely superb. Yeah. And I for someone who's an ex-Chelsea player, we have not had our luck with ex-Chelsea players. But for some reason, last two, Jorginho and Havertz, I love them both. They've been absolutely immense. And Havertz has taken all that stick from fans and opposition fans and his old club's fans, and then to arguably be probably the player of 2024 so far, that's going some. And I can give him nothing but credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to, like you said, big up to William Saliba. 22 years of age, 38 games played in the league, 3,420 minutes. He got a couple of goals, he got assists. And then when you go down the list, Declan Rice played 38 games, but he started 37. Martin Odegaard started 35. Saka 35, he played 35 as well. Gabriel Magalhaes 34. You think that he didn't start the season because of they were thinking about the possibility of a bid coming in from Saudi, which kind of threw that out of kilter. So a big, like you said, a big core of the players there. Ben White, 35 games as well. He played, and he matches played in. He played 37, so obviously played a couple coming in off the bench, but 35 games. So a lot of them are in the 30s of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 players are in the 30s of games played. So as you said, Neil, that's something that it's not going to be the case all the time, is it? We've been kind of fortunate this year with injuries. Obviously, Timber was the big one, which he probably would have been in the 30s as well if he'd have been fit.
100%. Sorry, I forgot. I didn't even answer your question. I'm so sorry. I went off on a complete tangent. So, what do I feel how this is going to affect them for next season? Don't worry about how it's going to affect them. They want to do it. I will. If you ask me that, if it's not going to happen, by the way, because we're winning it next season. But if something disastrous happens and we don't, then if you ask me the question, then I'll think, okay, that's 3 seasons running where we've come that close but not quite done it. Maybe then some of the players may start asking questions. I'm good enough to be at a club that is going to win major trophies. It doesn't seem to be happening, but at the moment, they can. I think they're all so in tune with what Arteta's vision is and with what he's trying to build here at the club. I don't think there's any players that are not. I mean, Kai Havertz is an example. He's come from arguably a rival, and look at him. He's fallen in love with this. He's in tears after the game. And like you said, I think even he was welling up even after he scored the goal, because he probably knows that he scored it, but it's not meaning anything for him. So for Arteta to have done that with this group of players tells it they're not going to start jumping ship and they're not going to lose motivation. They're going to say, do you know what? Stuff this. Yes, we've come this close 2 seasons running, even closer this season. We're only a couple of points away or a couple of games away to making sure next season that doesn't happen. And I'm telling you, we're going to be devastating. Timber is going to be like a revelation. He will be the player of the season next season. Yeah. And I think that we're going, with a couple of additions, we're going to wipe the floor with City next season. Don't you worry about it.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Steve, I don't want to bring this up, but I kind of feel sorry. I kind of feel that I need to, because obviously it's going to touch into something else. But everyone's kind of looking at it like, okay, all right, we missed out on 2 points, and if we had lost the league, where was it? Was it the 4 days between in December when we lost to West Ham and then Fulham? We drew Liverpool and then lost to West Ham at home and then lost to Fulham away. Was it the 2-2s we had earlier in the season against Tottenham and Fulham, when we drew 2-2 at home, especially against Fulham, against 10 men, and in both occasions we took the lead and then we gave it away? Or was it the Villa game that we kind of, where we lost it? There's one particular individual, a Man City midfielder, who believes that it was because of our mentality when we played them and we drew 0-0. That was the reason why we didn't win the league. He forgot to say that we've taken 4 points off them this season, which is kind of interesting. But what's your thoughts on that? And just the consensus that everyone's picking and saying we've lost the league here, we lost the league. When you've got to also kind of say, well, there were occasions where we kind of got lucky as well. You talk about the Declan Rice goal against Luton, in the 96th minute or whenever it was. The Garnacho goal that Ten Hag talks about in his sleep, which would have changed the course of history, and World War II wouldn't have happened if that goal went in, and all that stuff, and in his DeLorean going back and changing the history like quantum leap or whatever it is. If that goal had gone in, it would have been, he would have done the treble or the quadruple in his head. And then I think there was an instance where we played against Brentford away, and I think Ramsdale made a big cock up, and White had to make a clearance off the line. I think that was the case. So there's loads of things that have happened both ways. So what's your thoughts on that, Steve? Do you think it doesn't make any sense to do that and say where we lost the league, or is it good to do that because then it will kind of get the players focused on, look, next season we have to make sure that at home we're sort of perfect? And on Rodri's comments, is it just him being rattled? Because for him to say something like that just kind of tells me that this guy kind of knows we're coming, we're not going anywhere. But what's your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, first of all, Rodri from the 115, he can say whatever he likes, innit? But we did take 4 points off them, innit? So does the same mentality apply when they came to our ground and we beat them with a clean sheet? Yeah. We went to their ground, and obviously they're going to dominate the home team. So they dominated possession. So if we're not getting the ball, what do? Do we just open up and say, there you go, enter? No, of course not. You make sure you're solid. When Jose's teams were doing it in his first stint, people like the media, everyone was always like, oh yeah, he ground out a result. He always grinds out a result. We had to grind out a result. We weren't playing particularly well. We did have some chances in that game, mind. It wasn't all one way. But we weren't playing particularly well, and we got a draw at the Etihad. Again, talking about mentality, he can't talk about mentality because we've gone everywhere to win. Arteta's not somebody that goes, oh, you know what, lads, go there and get a draw. No, he wants to win every single game. Maybe he doesn't remember. Maybe he didn't watch the documentary. Maybe he's not spoken to some of his players. Maybe he's not even spoken to his manager about Arteta. But Arteta wants to win every single game. So the mentality thing is a joke. Our mentality was there because we wanted to be the best. If you can't beat somebody, you don't lose. If somebody's playing better than you and you realise, lots of the players are not having a good game here, the players on field, even without the manager's words, the players on field went, look, okay, we're not playing particularly well. There's a few sloppy passes, everything. We must make sure that we don't lose. Okay, yeah. Because every point, every little helps. You lose, and that's a point taken away. Yeah. So I don't care what he said. He's from the 115. When people are talking about where we've lost it, it's easy to look back. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. We all love it. We all go, oh yeah, the Tottenham one and the Fulham one and the West Ham one and the Liverpool one. Like, the Aston Villa 2, like whatever it may be, it's a game of football.
Yeah.
And on any given Sunday, I love that film, that same kind of film. But on any given Sunday, anything can happen. And it usually does. That's why we believe right at the end, because anything can happen. And it can. It's a game of football. It's two teams getting onto the field, and usually there's got to be a winner. Sometimes you have to shake hands and go, well, nothing can be decided. And there's a loser. So there's only 3 possible outcomes in this sport. And you can look back at every game. We've done it season after season. Oh, you know what? We should have got a point there, and we could have got a point there, and we could have. We didn't, didn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? The players still tried to win the game, and they didn't win it. It's pointless. the mentality which you both talked about with Arteta and Odegaard at the end of that game basically sets the tone. Okay, Arteta sets the tone. So his captain, who's his on-field man, will set the tone. That's why they're so in sync. Okay, that's why there's that connection. The connection that we have now between fans and players, and the club and the players and the fans is just it's the best I've seen it in ever. You know, it's in living memory, it's the best I've seen it. And even under the Invincibles and everything else, there was it was great, but this feels new. This feels new and different. I think ours during the Wenger years when him and Fergie, because there was such a fierce rivalry, not just a rivalry, it was fierce. It was pure hatred. It was intense. Do you know what I mean? We were all together, but it was more intense. It was more. With City, when you know you're playing against the 115, you know you're up against it from the beginning. So it's different. We're now connected as a fan base, and the mentality from Arteta is don't be satisfied. Of course, don't be satisfied. Yeah. We didn't achieve anything for you, so don't be satisfied. But no, I'm going to put it right, and that's a winning mentality. That's the mentality of somebody that says, okay, I've got some ideas in my head, and I will put this right. So trust me, trust what I'm doing. I will put this right, because every season since I've been here, I've improved.
Yeah, 100%.
I've taken our team to another level each season.
Yeah, I mean, just cutting this. It's the fact that we've got on that run. Since the turn of the year, just losing one game and drawing one game, and that was at the home of the champions. If that kind of shows you got a weak mentality, or not the right mentality, that's the thing that they've done. They've not lost a game since the 6th of December. Which is insane. But yeah, it's nonsense. It's Rodri, putting the boot in. There's no need for it really. He's a lack of class. He's made himself look a bit stupid, and he's a little bit like the trolls that are on social media now, that are just there, talking about Arsenal, when their teams have finished, fifth, some finished eighth or whatever, had shocking seasons, spent loads of money, but they're absolutely joyous in the fact that we've pushed this team to do what they've had to do to win the league and finish 2 points away from them. Because again, it's all down to we're not the banter club anymore. They're trying to make us the banter club by still having a go at us and laughing at us because we finished second to them. But yeah, it's nonsense from him. But just going on to things that I was happy to see on Sunday was obviously the return of Jurriën Timber coming on and looking like he meant business really. He funded into a couple of tackles, looked like he was playing in Odegaard's position at some points. He was popping up, in that sort of position, picking up the ball, doing bits as well. As Neil said, when he comes back next season and he starts playing regularly, it's going to be interesting to see where he fits in. There's talk of us going after the Ajax captain, Hato, I think his name is, and he playing him on the left. So if that means he's playing left back, possibly, then that means maybe Timber might play in a different position. Who knows? It's going to be interesting to see. But I think with what next year is going to bring, with the Champions League, crazy Champions League format, every game is going to be a must-win, because you have to finish in the top 8 for you to go automatically through to the next round. And then if you're in the next 8 or 16 down, then you go into a knockout stage. So you can't afford to, play dead rubbers. Unless you kind of know that you're in the top 8 and with one game to go, then maybe. But every game is literally a must-win of that, and that's on the back of, okay, then we might have to go away at the weekend to, Chelsea or big game at home against somebody. So the rotation is going to be massive. So that's why having him back is going to be massive, and because he's so versatile. But next season as well, especially with the transfer market, that's going to be absolutely key. So yeah, it was just great that we got the win at the end, and the players had a good send off. And I'm sure every season we've progressed and we've got better. So I think this is going to be the case again. So let's go on to the awards or awards. I don't think we did this last season, so this is going to be the inaugural one. So the guys haven't got the bow ties on and everything. Neil doesn't need to. That's Neil's bow tie. Oh, that's Neil's when his Arsenal tuxedo there. That's what it is there. The Arsenal shirt for the most dangerous man, Arsenal supporter alive. So he's cool. So let's go into it. So Neil, who have you got down as your player of the season?
Half player of the season, Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. For me, of course, you'll have Saliba stands out, Gabriel stands out, Odegaard stands out, Declan Rice stands out. The fact that there is so many choices just goes to show what a team it was. It really should be a team of the season rather than a player. But for me, from 2024, January 24, after that break, he's been sensational. He has been involved in pretty much most of everything that was created. He's assisted, he's scored, he's strong, his hold-up play is great, he's a great target man. We've seen that, that even he can defend when he needs to, he can defend from the top, he can even get back and defend. There's so much to this guy that we weren't seeing initially because, number one, I think he wasn't sure of his role. I'm not sure if the manager knew what his role was, but those few chances at number 9, and then he actually then became a regular there. It just goes to show how good he was at what he can do. Having said that, all of that, I still think we'll need a striker because of the rotation that you just talked about. But I think for me, Kai Havertz, I know it's a bit of a controversial one because it's not of the whole season, but for me, I will pick Kai Havertz as my player of the season.
Yeah, it's been a massive second half of the season. You look at his stats. I mean, he's done that since really. He's done that. Obviously, got a goal against Bournemouth, but he's done all of that since January, really, since the restart, of the season. 13 goals in total, 7 assists. Amazing, and he's properly bought into it as well. And when the connection is there, as we saw at the end, and his message on social media as well, on Instagram, I think it was, with his girlfriend, his partner. Good shout, Steve. What's your choice?
Ben White. Everything you say is Ben White.
Silly question.
What a stupid question, Michael.
I know. Well, I walked into that.
Look, obviously, I'm going to give Blanco a shout out because, again, after he came back from the break, I didn't think he was particularly bad in the first half, but I think the team just started to tail off a little bit around a December period. But Blanco came back, like I said, fresh tan, looking good, out on the pitch, doing his business, annoying everybody else, annoying all the opposition fans and players, getting in the way of goalkeepers and defenders and putting them off for the set pieces. I went for our captain. This was his season. Sometimes I do feel he overplays, but that's just me. Yeah. I'm not at his level in it, so I can't really talk in it. He runs, that guy. He runs. He puts in a shift. Sometimes you see him pressing up there by himself when Jesus is not there, for example. He presses, he runs, he puts in the mileage. He's had a fantastic season. He's had an absolutely fantastic season. I think most chances created in the league at 88. Created the most chances. Sorry. He's been phenomenal. People questioned his whether or not he'd be, a good captain and everything else. And I was all for it. He's if he was captain for his country, then he knows how to captain. Do you know what I mean? He's not a young lad. He is a young lad, but he's got a wise head. And people sometimes want a vocal captain. We've had Keanes and Vieiras of generations, and Tony Adamses, people that are big characters and stuff like that. But I went for our captain. He's led well. He's led by example. Even when he's playing bad, he doesn't stop running.
Yeah.
He might not be effective, but he knows he has a job to do, and that is to lead on the pitch. And the only way to lead on the pitch is by leading by example. So I gave it to our captain.
Yeah, good shout. I think as you both kind of indicated, that because there's been so many standout performances, Gabriel Mikel'S has been outstanding. Saliba has been as well. Ben White, as you said, even Trossard, you got to tip your hat to him. His the way he stepped up second half of the season. Unfortunately, Gabriel Martinelli's fallen off a little bit. With that injury, he got a Sheffield United. But up until that point, he was cooking as well. He got a goal in that game as well. But yeah, when you say it like that, there's so many players that you could have pinpointed as your player of the season. But my one is going to be one of the other guys, and that's going to be Declan Rice, because I just think with everything that's happened in the summer and the City, sticking their noses in and trying to, interfere and everything. It's the fact that you haven't even spoken about the price that we paid for him. No one said, 100 million, 105 million. And then there's that song, we paid, we paid the half price, we paid half price for him because he's been so good. And the way he's, again, we say again, the connection of, he's played for West Ham for how many years? And you saw the way he was absolutely, wrecked at the end of the game, absolutely devastated. He's really bought into this, I hate to say project, but just bought into the whole ethos of the club, and what it's about and the history and everything as well. And I just think, Declan Rice, you probably put on probably on your hand maybe 5 performances where you think he hasn't really played well, or he's been just below 6 out of 10. But every other game he's been 7 out of 10, and his numbers as well. The numbers he's produced, obviously he's playing a little bit further advanced. 7 goals. That's what Granit Xhaka got last season, I think, and 8 assists as well. And that's with him playing as a 6 and an 8, so, and now we kind of know we've got to play him as an 8 so he can just go and he can just do what he wants to do, and cause absolute carnage up there. But no, I think Declan Rice would be my choice.
Mike, so I'll just say one quick thing. I'm going to just not to add him to the list, but I noticed in the last game of the season, you notice how we didn't have Saka on that right-hand side?
Yeah.
Do you notice how different the team was?
Yeah.
People may knock him and say, "Oh, he's not this, he's not that." He's literally the standard.
Yeah.
He's literally the standard because everybody's compared to him.
Yeah, and it's because of his defensive work more than anything going forward as well, really. Because when they compare him to others, there's been a lot of graphs of him comparing him to Foden, Palmer, whoever else, and the attacking number, the attacking shape of it. I wish I had it. I could put it up. The attacking numbers are almost not the same, but they're almost the same, and he's ahead in that. But the defensive side, he just absolutely obliterates anyone else in terms of what he does defensively as well. So that's why Arteta loves him. That's why Southgate loves him, because he will always do the hard work as well as the going the other side of the ball. And I don't think the likes of Foden and Palmer, for how good they are going forward, going back, they're kind of reluctant to do it. Whereas Saka will just do it. When he's fully fit, there's no choice. There's no comparison. But at the moment, as we know, he's playing. As people take the mick out of him, he's limping and stuff like that because he's injured.
Yeah,
he's playing through it.
And just to add to him very quickly is, I what I like to do with our team is I will watch some games. I'll just watch a particular player, and just to see what they're actually doing. That's why there was a couple of games where I watched Ozil when he was with us, because people were like, oh, he's not doing anything. And I was just like, the guy's always running. Like, if you actually watch him, he's actually always running either into space to receive the ball or drawing defenders away, so there is space for other players to run into. I said it's smart football, but it's not a stat that's measurable. And the last couple of games I watched Saka play, and I really watched him play. And the guy is relentless. Like, he literally is a fantastic player. The goal against Tottenham, for example, as that ball come down, nobody talks about it enough, but that touch, come on,
amazing.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you watch back, like a lot of his compilations and stuff that are on YouTube and stuff like that, you will see there's some balls that he takes down with that left foot, and you just go, oh. But it doesn't get talked about because it's him.
Can I just say something? Sorry, I'm slowing the pace of this down. My apologies.
No.
Just touching on the player of the season. Did you notice the 2 out of 3 with this year's signings, right? If Timber had played, I bet you one of us may have chosen Timber as well. He could have been a full house of 3.
Yeah.
And that is a testament to it's showing now how good Arteta and Edu and his team and their scouting team are now doing, because we have had some very poor signings in the last few years. Or maybe that's unfair on the players. Not as effective as we would like, should I say. But look at it now. 2 out of those 3 of this year's signings, Rice and Havertz. All right, okay, arguably 170 odd million between the two. All right, I know that's a lot of money, but that is the standard now. That is the standard. We're not doing anything different. We're not the first ones to break the 100 million barrier. Up until now, we've been very frugal and very cute with it all. And I just want to give them a pat on the back or a shout for the prowess and the cuteness of the signings as well. So that's another thing we don't have to worry about anymore. We used to. Yeah. We don't need to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, fair play. So let's bring this up, because we've gone through the player of the season. So Neil's got Havertz, obviously Steve got the Odegaard along with Rice. Moment of the season. Neil has gone for the Man City win, which was obviously a great moment, one that Rodri seems to have forgotten about, which we've mentioned earlier. But we both, I think me and Steve have gone for the Champions League, so I just think it's the return of it, just getting back to that level. You can see the anticipation and the buzz that night, and obviously the performance we put on against PSV, wasn't it? We won that 4-0, I think it was. We'll go back on that in a minute. Goal of the season, Neil's gone for Gabriel's goal. That's not a misprint. It's not a mistake. That's Gabriel Magalhaes' Thunder B, or whatever they call it, the Thunder bar steward, that he scored, which was disallowed, to the devastation of a lot of us. And I'm glad Neil said that, because it gives me a chance to put on one of the favourites photos of Arsenal above all this season, which was the golden five.
I've got the poster.
Yeah, golden.
Method to my madness, sir. It's for you, mate.
Yeah, so we just put that up there again. There it is. Ben White. So we've got that. Neil's goal of the season, and Neil's wish for pre-season is just to get the defensive midfielder in, get that in, so that can just add another layer of, squad depth to make sure we're ready for the upcoming campaign. Steve's goal of the season, he's got too many to count, too many to choose from, I should say. Again, his wish for pre-season is getting deals early, and I've gone squad depth, which pretty much is what we're all kind of saying. Make sure that get the DM in, get it early, and get the squad depth sorted out. My goal of the season, again, there was a few. You had Declan Rice's one against West Ham, which was a lovely goal. Even Zinchenko's against Burnley was a great goal. The Karate Kid finish. But I think my favourite, just because of the absolute brilliant video it produced, the meme of Diego Dallo sliding across the galaxy and disappearing down black holes and swinging around the sun and supernovas and stuff like that, and the music as well, was just for me the best goal, I think, because it was a brilliant goal as well, the way he sat him down. But for me, just for that meme, absolute class. I think that's why I was wondering why Dalot played so well against us at Old Trafford, and he obviously had that in his head. You know, he obviously, got absolutely ruined by social media with that, and he was like, "Oh, this is my chance to get revenge." And he played well, to be fair. But for me, my goal of the season is this is one against Man United, just because of that meme. The absolutely sensational work whoever did that. I've still got it on my phone and watched it a few times today as well, just to remind myself. But
if I have to give one, Mike, I'm just going to say Ben White, because his one was definitely, he definitely meant it.
Yes. Yeah, against Chelsea. Yeah, good shout. But yeah, pretty much, Rice, Havertz, Odegaard as I could have chosen Odegaard as well, because he again the standards, as you said, Steve, and then Havertz as well, as you said, Neil. Second half of the season, he's really going to ask that question, isn't he, during the summer? For Arteta, and they do we go in heavy on a striker? Do we go in someone maybe a little bit under the radar, where we can maybe save our pennies and then maybe spend that on the defensive midfielder? So yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? How things, progress in the summer. Especially with the outs. I think like Sir Ramsdale, he's gone. You're talking about Eddie and they're accepting offers for him as well, which is pretty much a given. Reece Nelson. So there's going to be a lot of people going out. We just need to make sure we can maximise what we can, really, because with this FFP and what have you, I think we'll be all right. We've got money to spend. We've got the money from the league placing. We've got the money from the Champions League. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting season. And again, as you mentioned earlier, Neil, I just think the fact that the three big players we've got in, and then you add Raya, who came in a little bit later. Again, that's just proof that we're kind of getting it right. I know there's a little bit missteps with, Fabio Vieira, that hasn't kind of worked out. Sambi Lokonga, that didn't kind of work out. But I think since then, the identification of those players have been absolutely fundamental. And I think, as you said, if Timber had been fit, we'd probably be having conversations of him being in the team of the year and player of the season and stuff like that. But no, a great chat, guys, as usual. I have to say, right before we go any further, thanks so much for your support this season, this year. I know sometimes I ask you to jump on at short notice, and I know you've got busy lives and stuff, but I appreciate the support you've given to the show and all your insights and everything. It's been brilliant as usual. And yeah, when you get snapped up by someone else to replace those the Chuckle Brothers on Sky, I don't know, or some other broadcasting or TNT, just remember me, hey, if you do get on there, and
we will never leave you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for it's been another memorable season. 2 second places, and it's got slightly taken the mick out of the actual title of the show. I just wanted to get to Arsenal above all, and then quit. But once they reset the table, and Arsenal will be above all, because it's alphabetical, isn't it? It'll be at the top of the table in a couple of weeks again. But no, I appreciate your time, guys. Really, really do appreciate it. Thanks for everyone that watches and subscribes, and all the different platforms. Really, really do appreciate it. Getting the numbers that we've got, pretty amazing, and not letting it get to my head at all. Not taking anything for granted. Just going to keep doing this, and just having this platform and outlet to talk about the club that we all love, and all just wishing that we can just go that one step further and land that title and shut a few people up and go missing in action for a couple of days on mad benders when it happens. Just go off work for a week and just disappear and celebrate an Arsenal win. So fingers crossed for that. Steve, thanks very much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Love to you and your family. Same to you, Neil. Thanks very much for your time. Love to you and yours. And yeah, let's kind of rest and rest up and talk about transfers is the next thing. I know James and Jack will be all over that.
Oh God!
I know Neil's going to step back from that as well.
The group's going on mute, mate.
But yeah, purely Arsenal. I'm sure they'll be doing some transfer stuff. We'll try and do something as well with yourself, Steve, and Brian, and maybe get James on it as well when things start to heat up. But no, thanks very much, guys. Lots of love. I'm gonna play the outro this time, and Neil loves that one as well. So he's getting all his wishes tonight. It's a shame it couldn't be the Premier League title, but he just has to do with this. But thanks very much. All the best.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
Neil. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Man, remember. Giroud into the box, and they have immediately.